Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 16th edition of Beyond the Headlines. My name is Colin, Dowe, and I'll be serving as your host this evening. Thank you so very much for joining us. So whether you logged on any of our social media platforms, listening on GBN Radio, or looking on GBN Television, welcome to Beyond the Headlines. We remain topical this evening. We were dealing with violence over the last month or thereabouts, and I'm hope that this evening's topic will bring absolutely no violence, although I know that we'll be equally as passionate about this theme. We're talking about Intercol 2026 this evening, and with us we have the president of the Grenada Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Mr. Carl Andall. With him is his treasurer, Mrs. Samantha Antoine-Purcell. In case the passion grows, Superintendent Kenneth Bascombe is also with us from the RGPF, and online the Games Director, Johnell Mitchell. Welcome to each of you to Beyond the Headlines this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dowe.
Wonderful. It's really wonderful. At this time of the year, we all know, we all get very passionate. Track and field is ingrained in us. It brings out special emotions. And let me start off with you, Johnell, deliberately online, and share with us your role, because you're a director of the games, which means you're the big man in charge. So share with us your role as director of Intercol 2026.
First of all, let me say thank you, Colin, for having me here tonight. Good night to you. Good night to my fellow panelists. Good night to all those of you listening on GBN radio, television, or the social media outlets, wherever you are. Thank you for allowing us in your homes tonight. Well, as you said, you give me a title, big role. I believe every role in the game, whether or not you're the director or an official, they're all critical in ensuring that we have and effectively run games. But as director of the games, it's my role I'm like the choir master who leads that choir from the time you open your mouth to sing to the time you're finished. What I'm basically saying is that I ensure the smooth running of the games, ensuring that we have all of the events in place, ensuring that each event starts and ends on time. The ceremonies, the medal ceremony, every component of the games, ensuring that every athlete gets a fair advantage, ensuring that there are things in place. So making sure as a director of the games that I'm there early, very early in the morning to ensure that the areas where the athletes would be competing, they're prepared. Even now, before the games, ensuring that setup is done. So it's a large task, but more so when the public comes out, they come out on the days of competition, and we have to ensure that not only the athletes are given the opportunity to perform at the best, but we also have to ensure that the product that we're selling to the public, it is one that is worth the monies that they have spent. So we have to ensure that everything runs smoothly from the time we start to the time we end the game. So as a director of the games, it's a huge task. It's a massive task. It takes quite a bit from me, but I believe that I'm up to the task. I have been around. I think I can well say I'm maybe a little veteran in the sport right now when it comes to directing track and field in Grenada. So I believe that we're in a good place.
Let me ask you this, and I do accept the fact that you are a veteran in this and have been at it for some time. Tell us the distinction between, let's say, Carifta Games and Intercol. And I'm deliberately asking this question because Grenada has executed Carifta exceptionally well. You're talking races on time, etc. In Intercol, it seems to be a different animal sometimes in terms of marshalling the troops to remaining on time. Can we expect an Intercol that is delivered in the same way that Grenada delivers Carifta to the Caribbean?
And that's a really beautiful question. First of all, let me say Intercol in itself is a household name. we've all grown up with Intercol. We've been a part of Intercol. So whether or not you've gone to school X or Y, it is a part of it. It's ingrained in you. So come Intercol, we're going to be seeing, the stadium filled with people who've probably never been to the stadium for the entire year for our meet. They come down for those games. Now, in comparison to Carifta, and yes, you speak to the timeliness of Carifta and the way the events are run, it is our aim. And if you followed most of the meets that the Grenada Athletics Association they've put on this year, Colin, it's like also a dry run to Intercol and to Carifta. We've already tried hard to start our games on time and finish on time. Now, Intercol in itself right now as it stands, it's good having it before Carifta because it prepares us for that bigger event. And when I say bigger event, in the sense that we'll be having a number of countries coming in for Carifta, some 28 or so countries representing the different islands at the games. At our Intercol games this year, we have some 24 schools participating with an average, a number of about 935 athletes registered. Now, this is a huge undertaking. So it is critical. It is critical, Colin, and time is of the essence. It's important. It's critical that we start on time. Why? We have to consider a number of factors. Not all of the athletes in the stadium have the privilege to camp in the St. George's area. We have to think of the teams that are traveling from far. They probably leave wherever they come from as early as 6 or maybe even before that. And then considering the fact that they have to journey back to places in St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, wherever they're coming from. So it is critical, as the director of the games, we manage it effectively with our start time, as I said. So, for example, on the first day, we have the opening ceremony, but it's our aim to begin 9:30 prompt. As soon as the opening ceremony finishes, we run up our first event and aim to finish at 5:30. How do we get that? All systems must be in place. So our referees, our chiefs, who are working along, the coaches, even they themselves have to support us in what we're doing. We have to make sure that everything runs on time and in place. Colin, let me just add here, there's a place in the games that no one sees called the call room, all right? No one sees the call room. And that's what we call the engine of the games. The call room is the engine of the games where everything takes place. If the call room breaks down, everything fails to run on time. So the very first call in the call room goes off at approximately 8:30 thereabout for the field events. So we have to ensure that come tomorrow, that first call happens that time. If it doesn't happen, then we do not run on time the way we should. At Carifta, and I'm comparing this not to Carifta, everything is scripted, and that's what we've tried to do with our games, to script everything. So everything is scripted, and you move in a timely manner to your medal ceremony, to everything. So I believe we can do it. We've done it in time past, and I firmly believe in our officials, Colin. I believe in the capabilities, and I believe that when we finish with Intercol, we would have to say Carifta would have to beat something. Carifta would have to measure up to something really good.
Okay, excellent. Happy to hear that. And we'll be in tune and present to see the delivery of that. If I can come to you, Carl, and just share with us in terms of the format, the days, the times. We heard Johnell mentioning, trying to get the first race off tomorrow, being the opening day at 9:30. But tell us the days, tell us the times. When can we expect heats, finals? What will be the mix? What will those days look like in general?
All right, evening, Colin, and evening, listeners. As we all know, Intercol has transformed over the years, because initially my first encounter with the Intercol, we had the female day, the girls' day, and the boys' day, and that went on for years, where the first day was the Wednesday.
Wait, hold on, I must stop you here because you're making me feel bad. Because, some people who are listening may say their first encounter with Intercol, there was just one day.
Well, I could only speak about my encounter because we all know Intercol started in 1965, which is many years ago. But my first encounter, as I said, is we had the female day, which is the first day, and we had the male day, which is the Thursday, that's the second day. And, you know, for years we kind of suffered with that because, you know, we always have bias in sports. And for whatever reasons, the first day, which is the female day, the crowds used to not be as large as the second day. But that has evolved. Initially, we had a mixture of both days. So we had both male and female participating on the 2 days. In the bid to expand the Intercol and the number of events that the kids could participate in, so we end up with a 3-day format. So for now, we have a 3-day format starting tomorrow, that's Tuesday, so it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And throughout the 3 days, we have a mixture of all the various events. So for patrons coming in, you could get a taste of the long distance events, the sprints, the hurdles, as well as the relays. But we all know the combination will take place on Thursday. And for most persons, that is the most exciting day for them because it's the climax. And without a doubt, that's the day in which the winner would be declared.
How many, but no, let me just go back a little bit before I go into that. You said that there is a mixture.
Yes.
But would there be a mixture where we see finals on all 3 days, as in the case of a crafter, or do we wait on Thursday and then we see a bunch of the finals there?
No, it's correct. And you must have a mixture because you have to understand you would have athletes who are doing multiple events and you don't want them to do hits on the first 2 days, then a lot of finals on the last day. So it's a total package and that's what makes it special. So let's say, for example, tomorrow you'll be seeing hits, you'll see preliminaries, as well as finals. And that would occur on all the days. And we know on the last day, we have the 4x4, which create a lot of the excitement and the declaration of the winners.
How many events can we expect?
How many events? I can't even give you that figure. You will have to go back to the director for this. Okay. Yes.
Well, director did mention in terms of the number of athletes, because over 900 athletes. But Johnell, if you can just share how many events can we anticipate over the 3 days?
Yes, Colin. And let me, there's something I just want to quickly add to what Mr. Andall said. Every day is as competitive. So Thursday is as competitive as Thursday. The only difference with Thursday and Thursday is the 4x4. So each day we have 100s, 200s, 400s, 800s, 1500s every single day. So we were saying to the public, the Intercol is not a last day event. Now we have some 88 or so events altogether. Okay, 88 events. And so that gives you approximately, give and take, say about 30 events per day. Within that mix, Colin, we also have events for the special education. Over the years, they've become a staple in our meets, and we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. So we also have an event for both male and female. So for the 2 days, for the 3 days, sorry, we have 88 events. And it's our aim, as I said, to finish most of our events on a daily basis by 6:30 thereabout. We should be completed with all of our events.
Okay. Yeah? And if you know off the top of your head, 100 meters senior boys, which day?
100 meters senior boys, I believe that's this second day, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I'm deliberately asking you so that people don't, you know that on Wednesday, 100 meters senior boys taking place, you have to be present because we all want to know who will reign king as the fastest over the track.
Let me just quickly tell you this. I know for a fact the 100s sub-juniors would be tomorrow.
Okay, the finals.
Yes, the 100s sub-juniors would be tomorrow. And I believe, just off my head, the seniors, I think, is most likely second day or so. I'm just trying to pull it up. Yeah.
No problem. But I think what we're trying to get to the audience is that each day there will be excitement. Each day will have major events taking place for bragging rights.
So,
all right?
So let me say this to you, Colin, just before you quickly go on. You're talking senior and you're talking relays. The 4x1 senior is tomorrow.
4x1 senior, both male and female.
Both male and female is tomorrow.
Wonderful,
so
wonderful.
It's critical.
If you miss that, you're certainly missing out. Samantha, how many schools? Well, I think we heard 24 schools taking part. Any new entrants in 2026?
Yeah, last year and maybe the last 2-3 years, we were not as fortunate to have all 24 schools. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we had 25. We do have one secondary school that's no longer in.
We did a number of years ago.
No, we don't. Mr. Andall will quickly speak to that, but no, we don't. So forms of junior to seniors.
Mr. Andall, why are we leaving out the youngsters in the secondary schools?
No, the youngsters are not left behind. And there's a few reasons for this. CPA. You know, for many years, a few of us, well, we entered secondary school 10, 11 years old. That is a thing of the past. And even when we entered secondary school, there was no category at Intercol for prep.
Right.
So you still had at the secondary school, you'd have prep, sub-junior, junior, and senior. However, prep was just something special in secondary school where you might have at least 5 or 6 persons per se. A few years ago, when we introduced prep at Intercol, most of the prep that we had were first year sub-junior. And that created some issues for us. The category that suffered the most during that era was the seniors, because we had now first year senior running as juniors.
Please explain that, because
yes, I would explain it.
Because the age and change.
Yes. No. So what you find happening? So sub-junior, as we speak, now is under 15. That's sub-juniors.
Okay.
You understand? But we had prep. So you're telling me the 12 and the 13-year-old, they were not sub-juniors. They were prep. Right. You understand? And now we're talking about 16-year-old taking 17, they were still juniors. So all of a sudden in the senior category, we had a few athletes there. And we had to make an adjustment to suit. I think what we tried initially was to follow Jamaica. You know, Jamaica have class 1 to class 4, right? So we reverted to what we are accustomed to. So there's no prep anymore.
But on those youngsters losing out some, because the exam is still for 11-year-olds. I mean, the CPA.
Must be 12 in the year of exam.
Must be
12 in the year of exam.
For CPA?
Yes.
Okay, so that has changed.
That has changed. That's why I tell you, when we went to school, persons could do CPA at 10 or 11, taking 12 the following year.
Correct.
Yeah, that no longer exists.
Okay, all right. So there'll be no preps?
No prep.
Okay. Superintendent, tell us why safety is a critical deliverable for Intercol games.
All right, good evening again, Mr. Dowe, to you and your viewing and listening audience. So let me tell you why. Imagine this scenario. You take literally thousands of the nation's most precious citizens, our children. You bring them to a location, the stadium. Imagine for 1 second something goes wrong on that day or one of these days, and there is a mass casualty event, and our children were to get harmed, or God forbid we lose some of them. That is how we sell the importance of security. What we as an organization do is to create what I would like to call that security bubble, where we bring our children into that venue and we make it near impossible for lawbreakers and ill-intending persons to enter that bubble. Because what we want is for our children and adults who come to the games to enjoy the games without having to worry about the safety and security. What the RGPF has a simple mandate to ensure that the games are executed in an environment that is safe and secure for athletes, patrons, and officials. But of course, that mandate is easier said than done. But the long and short is security is important, because we want at the end of the day, Mr. Andall and his team can look to us as RGPF and our private security partners and say, job well done.
Okay. What are some of the measures being implemented to make sure that you fulfill that mandate and maintain that safe bubble?
Well, of course, we have a number of things we would put in place, from monitoring the perimeter to layered security checks before entry to a number of prohibited items that we will stop from entering the venue so that you cannot use it to, to harm persons, and so to the use of our plainclothes officers who will be on the ground to basically watching you without you realizing you're being watched. And anything they notice that is unusual will be flagged up the line so that we can take appropriate action. So we really would have a comprehensive plan in place to ensure that the games are executed in a manner that is safe and secure.
What are some of the cautions you'd want to issue? And let's get it out there now to the general public in terms of what is expected of the public to ensure that your job is easier.
Right, so obey the rules. Traditionally, I mean, as was said, the games have been going on for over 60 years. And people know by now some of the things you cannot enter the stadium with. So you know the breakable bottles, you know sharp instruments, and so that can be used to cause harm. Something that always get lost in the mix, and I want to say to our licensed firearm holders out there, because ever so often we have these sporting events at the stadium and so on, believe it or not, persons would show up at the venue with licensed firearms. Well, of course, you know, you cannot allow you into the venue with a firearm for obvious reason. Something could go wrong. I mean, there's a school game, you might get passionate and, you know, you feel, Colin feel he has a gun and Mr. Andall doesn't have one, and, you know, something happens. So we said to you, don't come to the venue with a licensed firearm. And I would advise you, do not leave it in your vehicles. That is a recipe for disaster. You either secure it at home, or you can also go to one of our police stations, lodge it there, and collect after the games. But as we go along, of course, a number of security issues we will discuss as we get deeper into the conversation.
Okay, all right. Johnell, the strategy, and I'm going to ask you as someone who has been in track and field, what would you say is the developmental strategy for track and field? How are our athletes prepared for an Intercol games, and coming out of an Intercol games, how do you expect them to be prepared for Carifta and beyond?
Interesting question, Colin. And when we do think about it, that if you've noticed from September even into now, a number of our athletes have been participating in a number of the meets put on by the Grenada Athletics Association. One of the things that the Grenada Athletics Association have seen, they've seen a growth in participation, and that's because we've opened up to all athletes. More and more of our secondary schools, well, as a matter of fact, you may not see the secondary schools, but quite a bit of these athletes will be competing over the next 3 days. They are part of clubs. So with the developmental meets that we've had as a Grenada Athletics Association, it has provided them with opportunities to gauge where they are and to work on areas of weakness, areas that they need to work on to improve, areas where they need to strengthen. So they use those meets to get them where they are right now. Now, what that has done, it has allowed coaches to gauge carefully where the athletes are at and how ready they are for keen competitions like these. If you were privy to the national champs just about 2 weeks ago, you would have seen, you may have seen quite a few of those athletes performing at very high levels. And barring the conditions under which they performed with the rains and all of that, they still came out there and they gave some phenomenal performances. So I firmly believe there are a number of factors that have gotten them there. One, we've seen that our coaches, they're working. I believe that our coaches are putting more into the athletes. Two, the number of meets that the Grenada Athletics Association are putting on, giving these athletes opportunities now to really see where they're at and what they need to work on. So at games like Intercol, a lot of the coaches would prepare the athletes to peak for Intercol. But we also have to consider moving forward. And that's why over the 3 days, and we stress this carefully, 3 days does not mean that you put more events on an athlete, but we speak care for the athletes. So it also provides some periods of rest. One of the things that we'll have throughout the games is the physio. The physio room would be open and it would be ready. And a matter of fact, some of the teams are actually coming with their own physio. So the care of the athletes, even throughout the games, we're seeing that happening. Now, considering that we have Carifta about 2 weeks ago from here, and Mr. Andall will tell you how beautiful that was, a critical conversation where we had all the key players, and that's probably one of the very first times we had that, where we had the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Education, the Grenada Athletics Association, the Principals Association coming together and speaking about the care of the athletes. So coming from a games like Intercol, giving them enough rest period to recuperate from the fatigue, from the burnout, and preparing them for character down the road. So I believe we've set up a rather strategic move in a strategic way, getting our athletes prepared through general preparation into specific preparation time for competition, and even giving them enough time for recuperation moving forward for games like character that will be held in 2 weeks' time.
Let me just mention something that probably still pains me is last character. Double sound of the gun, and we took off, stopped, took off again, ran the full race, and therefore weren't able to compete in the race, as it were. And at Intercol, we had that same example utilizing the same rules where the athlete, I believe it was from GBSS, did not run. Of course, under the protest because of the double song, was able to run alone, qualified for the finals, and won the finals. That learning experience seemed not to have translated from the Intercol games into Carifta on that occasion. Are we ensuring that knowledge of the rules of the games, both on the coach's side and the athlete's side, is being transmitted? So should there be a repeat of any kind, we'll be in a good place to take advantage of the rules.
Yeah, and Colin, that again is critical. And that's one of the things we always say to the coaches. Yes, coaches, coach, you've been doing a phenomenal job. But it is also important that you educate the athletes on the rules of the games. And that's the beauty of track and field. The makers of track and field, they know that when an athlete, let me just backtrack. An athlete trains for an entire year for games like national champs, Intercol, character to a certain extent. You come to Intercol, we as officials, we have to ensure that that athlete has everything in place to perform at an optimal level. So it is critical that officials do what they're supposed to do, giving athletes the advantage. The athlete should be at advantage at all times. However, there are times when things may not go the athlete's way, and based on what happens, there are rules in place that will govern the games, where the coaches can protest, they can appeal. So they lodge a formal protest, it is reviewed by the referee. If they're not satisfied with the referee's decision, they can further take it to the jury of appeal, where that jury looks at it, they review it, and they give a response. They may uphold the referee's decision or they may overturn the decision accordingly. You spoke of character. The same thing applies to character. That's a whole discussion in its place, and I have the response to that. I know what took place. I was right there. There are a number of things that could have been done, should have been done. But I would say to you, it was a learning experience, as you've said, and we continue to brief our officials as much as possible, letting them know it is important, it is critical, Colin, to ensure that we follow the rules. And if there are mishaps, what you should do and how you should react. It's not time for panic.
Nice.
That's where you have to kick in and just do what has to be done. So I believe the officials, it was a learning experience. We've had conversations on that, and I believe that they're ready to move on.
Excellent. All right, it's time, viewers and listeners, for our first break. So we'll take a break and we'll be back shortly. Take care.
Some invitations are worth saying yes to. Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited is celebrating 15 years of its Pump It Up Family Fun Walk. Join us on the Sister Isle of Carriacou on April 19th from the Alexis Food Stores at 3:30 p.m. and mainland Grenada on May 3rd from the SSU Camp in Point Salines at 3:30 p.m. as we celebrate 15 years of saying yes to family, fitness, and fun. Register now. Get ready to pump it up with us. Individual packages are $25 and groups of 3 or more are $20 per package. All proceeds will go to the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. For more information, visit our website or any of our retail banking units.
Welcome home.
Grenada's only Service Expo returns. Join the GCSI at the 3rd edition of its Services Expo 2026, now on March 27th and 28th at the Grenada Trade Center under the theme, The Future Has Arrived. With 30 exhibitor spaces available, this is your chance to showcase your service, connect nationally and regionally, and grow your brand. Sponsorships and booth spaces are now open. Call 439-9275 or visit GCSI Grenada on Facebook and Instagram for more details. This ad was sponsored by the Investment Migration Agency, Grenada, and FaceCard AI.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
As we look ahead to 2026, we're committed to elevating Grenada's presence on the global stage. Our integrated tactical focus includes media relations, travel trade engagement, sales activation, and digital campaigns. These efforts are designed to ensure visibility and establish leadership in our niche pillar marketing. We invite you to join us on this journey by supporting our initiatives and sharing the beauty of our tri-island state with the world. Together, we can make 2026 a year of growth and success for our islands. Whether you're a local stakeholder, a travel enthusiast, or someone who simply loves Grenada, your involvement is crucial to our success. Thank you for your continued support. Let's make 2026 a year to remember.
Go paperless with e-billing. Get your Grenlec bills straight to your email inbox with myaccount.grenlec.com. Sign in to myaccount.grenlec.com, where you'll be directed to the home screen. Under Additional Options and Paperless Billing, hit Sign Up. Enter the email where you'd like to receive your bills. Check the accounts you want, then click Sign Me Up. It's that easy. Your bills now come straight to your email inbox. We're moving to paperless billing. Get ready today.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. We're talking Intercol 2026. Carl, before we left off, Johnell mentioned the care for the athletes, which is something that is important in terms of directing the games. But overall, if you can just share, what type of support is there for our student athletes?
The care of the athletes is always critical. However, it's not just physical. You know, sometimes persons place a lot of emphasis on the physical care of the athletes. So we have physio where therapy and stuff is concerned. You know, they have to get treatment throughout the 3 days. We all make also they well hydrated, have proper nutrition per se. However, this year we're taking it to another level. Miss Cindy and Robert Sinclair should be having a motivational boot at Intercol. And that's the first time we'll be having something like this. From my end, being involved at Intercol and athletics at various levels, I'm fully aware of the importance of the mind. A lot of the athletes would go, and if they are not psychologically prepared, it's extremely difficult for them to perform. I have seen athletes being frightened. I have seen athletes have a lot of body aches and pains that is just imaginary, all because of the stress of the games. But can you imagine we have 13, 14-year-olds at the National Stadium with thousands of persons looking at them live, and we have even more looking at them online. That by itself is good psychological pressure. So what you find happening, the main aim of this boat is to ensure it will be located in the athletes village, and it is available for all the athletes. So we already met with the coaches. I already let the coaches know that if you have an athlete who is stressed or have anxiety or such, you can expose them to the persons in that boat who are trained psychologists, who would be able to give them calming exercises, speak to them, so that they could perform at the optimum.
What do you say about the bullies out there? Because, you know, sometimes supporting your team is one thing, but we have from cyberbullying to others, and that has been thrown around. What message you have for them in terms of taking care of the athletes?
Right. The cyberbullying is a big issue, and sometimes persons do it in jest, but I don't think they fully understand the negative impact you could have on the athletes. And I'm asking the adults out there to be a little more responsible than this. I know of a case a few years ago where a child was bullied, and after that he didn't want to return to school. He did not even want to perform at Intercol. But from my end, when I'm involved as a coach, I would use these things as a motivator for the athletes. You understand? So it's like persons out there say certain things about you. No, we have an added drive to actually prove them wrong. But we discourage cyberbullying, and we try our best as possible to ensure that the fans, especially the online fans, they refrain from this.
Okay. What type of training do we have for our coaches? And I'm just going in general, and maybe I have to go back to the director of the games. But if you can, who are these secondary school coaches?
Who are the coaches? Most of the coaches are teachers. And that by itself is an advantage. Because what you find happening, being exposed with the kids in the classroom, a lot of the teachers have training in pedagogy and child psychology, so that gives them an edge. But generally, the coaches will get qualified through collaboration with the GAA, who from time to time they have coaching at the different levels, and persons are exposed to it.
Okay, and how do schools recruit coaches? Is it just a general interest in terms of who's in the teaching staff? Or, I mean, I remember back in the day, I was a games teacher, but I don't call myself an athletics coach.
Right, athletics is difficult from the rest. So I've been involved in football, cricket, and athletics. I'm telling you, athletics is more technical. And it is really, really important that you get some form of formal training. Otherwise, you could actually be doing a disservice to the athletes. As we speak, sometime last year, I know the Ministry of Sport went on a drive where they want to place coaches in schools. And these coaches would receive the requisite training. This, to me, is a really, really good move. Because as I said previously, when we launched the Intercol games, that it is really, really important that each secondary school on Ireland is given the assistance to develop good athletics program. That by itself would be really good for us. The schools that are doing well in Intercol the last 10, 15 years or more is not by accident. A school that has coaches as well have programs. I
mean, likes of Jamaica, we figure it's not by accident when you have a level 4 coach in the secondary schools.
Correct.
There's a national program to develop these athletes.
But I understand in Jamaica it's not just coach. They have good nutritionists. They cover all the bases. Because sometimes, you know, you have a good coach, but if the nutrition is poor, it's very, very difficult for the athletes to do well. It's my understanding also that Jamaica have a school of excellence where they will actually teach the coach. because you know you could go through a course, you could pass level 1, level 2, and you're still not able to coach. Somebody have to teach you how to develop a programs per se, yes.
Okay, all right. Superintendent, we talk about the bullying, and quite often about cyberbullying. From your experience, who have been the troublemakers trying to penetrate the bubble, or successfully penetrating the bubble, where we have thousands of our nation's children? Are these past students? Are these students themselves? Who are the troublemakers?
Well, for the most part, it would be past students.
So adults?
Yes, we have, believe it or not, we have a lot of adults. And I like to say to persons, yes, as adults, we get to enjoy the games, but we must remember that the games are for the children. Yeah? And it's unfortunate that we have to be having this conversation about adults bullying children. That is a serious national conversation we have to have. So we want to say to the persons out there that engage in bullying, remember that we have cybercrime legislations. And from those who are familiar with it, you'll know that the penalties are quite steep, right? But we don't want to get to that. I mean, you get the privilege of going to the games as an adult. Go there, enjoy yourself, cheer for your past school, cheer for your children, cheer for your friends, and leave it at that. Right? I always tell friends, Intercol should be just a normal day for friends. Colin back in PBC, I won't say who I'm backing because I'm representing the Commissioner of Police here. If PBC wins, good luck. If I lose, better luck next year. But don't take it to the extreme where you're bullying young children because you scar them and you could scar them for life. It could mess with their self-esteem, and so. So let us raise the bar this year. I would challenge us as a nation for Intercol 2026 to raise the bar as adults, right? Be the adults that we want the children in the stadium to be in the years to come. And we don't want them to be bullies. So you don't teach them to be bullies. So I just wanted to send that over first.
Okay. Samantha, we talk about adults. Tell us a little bit about the pricing, Madam Treasurer, for these games. I
will, Colin, but I want to just add on something to what Superintendent was speaking about with the adults who are behaviors that are not great. The conversation is larger than that. We see it at Intercol from time to time, but it starts since at school. So it's a larger conversation for the adults or parents or well-wishers to understand. Even when you do it at school, you are teaching children from the school. When you come into school and you bully teachers, when you come into school and you bully principals, when you come into school and bully the friends of the children that you're teaching them to become bullies. And then we see that Intercol in the rare cases where it's on social media and that's projected far and wide, and then it gets so cyberbullying is one thing, but it actually happens in person and it happens outside of Intercol. So I want to reiterate what Superintendent was saying about adults being very mindful that your actions are going to influence the students among us. When I say to parents and I speak at general assemblies or in general meetings, schools are a representation of society. So whatever ills you have out there, that's what's going to happen at school. So we cannot eradicate bullying at school until the adults take responsibility for the role they play in that as well.
It's modeling behaviors.
Literally. Right. But we want our adults to come out and support us. We really want them to be out there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was driving home sometime last week or week before, and I happened to be, maybe I was at office late or something, and I happened to be listening to DMs of the PM as I'm working. And a comment, not verbatim, but I remember a comment he made to whoever was interviewed, Shiloh and Tarek, I think is his name, interviewing him, and he said, Intercol is the greatest event in Grenada, something like that. He almost said show on earth, but he corrected himself at the end and he contextualized it to Grenada. It really is, because if I'm not mistaken, it's probably the only time the stadium is ever filled throughout the events of the year. So the support is there, and we appreciate the support that adults and children and persons outside of Grenada, online as well as those who fly in. Literally, there are people who are flying in for Intercol, not just because career is 2 weeks thereafter, but they come in for these games. And we've appreciated that level of support. I remember 2 years ago when we introduce finish line tickets, and I want to speak a little bit about why we did that. No, that's not the question, but as I'm on the floor now, I'll speak to that. And the initial thought was, you know, where is all that money going? We don't have an issue selling finish line tickets. So persons still support, by and large. I wanted to plug this in tonight. As much as you're seeing the quota fair that finish line tickets are finished, the quota for online is finished, and many of them have been sold in hand. The school responsible for selling tickets at the gates, so it should be PVC and the St. John's Christian Secondary School, because every school has task and responsibilities to execute this major event. There will be a few finish line tickets available for sale at the gates tomorrow. So I want to give a little hope to persons who have been...
Every day, not just for tomorrow.
Well, the tickets I'm saying tomorrow because I suspect after tomorrow they will no longer be available. But there are tickets in every day, still available, not very large quantities, still available that we've kept for the gates. For persons who didn't get the online and persons who couldn't get to them prior. So if you come to the stadium tomorrow, God's will, the lines will not be long. One, we've been able to, the last 2 years we were crippled with some supply chain challenges, and tickets came in very late. Last year tickets came in after the first day of Intercol, and we had to do a lot of online and reprinting and all of that. We did not have that challenge this year. So two things occurred. One, the number of online ticket sales have increased significantly compared to previous years, and that's a trend we'll be going. So you'd find that every year more and more tickets will be made available online.
So tell us the pricing if you can. In terms of
I will. Finish line tickets, you have 4 categories of finish line tickets. If you're familiar with the stadium, upper pavilion, the orange chairs at the top, so the second level, as it were, you have section A, you have section B. A being the one closest to the end of the stadium, B right before. So finish line tickets, and they're all the same price every day. So there's not a day 1, day 2, and day 3 price. Finish line tickets are finish line ticket prices. Upper pavilion A and B, they go at $55 and $50 respectively, every day. And lower pavilion, these are the blue ones now, right outside the finish line there. A and B, they go at $45 and $40 respectively. There is a category, so only corporate Grenada is very familiar with it, of all-inclusive tickets that are going at $200 per day, and it includes priority seating in upper pavilion, as well as it includes refreshments for lunch, tea, serving of all of that. So it comes with all of that as well. So for any of the corporates, and we've seen an uptick in that this year as well. So we've seen persons are very supportive, and they're buying the tickets.
And general admission?
General admission for students, we did not change a single thing from last year. As a matter of fact, none of the prices changed from last year. All prices. So students are still coming in at $5 for day 1, $10 for day 2, $15 for day 3. And again, just to back up what Mr. Mitchell was saying in terms of the spread of events over the 3 days, is not because day 1 has less events. We're mindful, and that comes through some of the queries from parents from year to year. We're mindful that parents, we want you to send the children out each day. Therefore, we're trying to find a package that works for the pockets of a parent. Students can buy tickets first day, bleachers only, full uniform of course, $5, $10, $15 respectively for the 3 days, or you can just buy a season bleachers tickets for $25 altogether.
Why the difference in pricing?
Simply because we wanted to be mindful. Parents have multiple children to send into
It is $30, or well, 25, 10, 15, which is $30. So why not $10 per day?
Remember earlier I spoke about the issue we have on the first day. Traditionally, persons still have that. Everybody want to. So you're trying to encourage persons.
So it's an incentive.
Yeah.
It is, but what we get the feedback online and generally selling tickets that parents are very mindful. Make it affordable for those with multiple children at school.
Right.
So you still want to find a way to give a break to those who have to pay for 2, 3, 4, 5 children to come down to Intercol.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
In terms of secondary pavilion, again, that's pretty affordable. You're 10, 15s, 20s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Main pavilion, you're 20, 25, 35s. There are season passes for main pavilion. That's non-finish line tickets, just your regular seating. So you have no ticket price changes from last year to this year, essentially.
Okay. Is the distinction then pavilion and bleachers for students in uniform? That's the only distinction. So there isn't an adult and children pricing?
In one case. So only students in full uniform be allowed on the bleachers, which is normal.
Right.
Now, in the main pavilion, in previous years, parents reached out to ask about tickets for children in the main pavilion. A main pavilion seat is a main pavilion seat. So if you're opting to send your child there, and we're hopeful that you don't, because we want them to enjoy the camaraderie of Intercol on the bleachers at all the schools, it's something to remember. It's something that there's no other experience like that. But if you opt not to do that, you're going to have to pay the ticket for the main pavilion, which doesn't differentiate between adult and child. So whether in uniform or not, a main pavilion ticket is a main pavilion ticket, and a secondary pavilion ticket is a secondary pavilion ticket.
Okay, my other question, sale of alcohol. Is there any sale of alcohol at the venue?
We can't. It goes against all our food and nutrition policies for school events to have alcohol sold at an event. We won't.
Good.
Also, I want to say also in the main pavilion, we discourage that because the last few intercalls we had, we noticed the bleachers were not filled to capacity. You understand? While the main pavilion, the officer will tell you that the main pavilion, I remember like 2024, somewhere about 11 o'clock, the police wanted to close the main pavilion area because it was filled to capacity. So we're encouraging parents as much as possible to send the children on the bleachers, so at least the adults could get the seats.
Yeah. Okay, okay. Johnell, I will deliberately start with you because I know the representatives from the secondary schools will want to answer me. So, who are the dominant teams in Intercol? As director of the games and witnessing all of the developmental, track meets over the season.
Over the years, Colin, we've seen some schools dominating. When I say dominating, being champions. However, I would not say that there is going to be a dominating athlete. What we've noticed over the last couple of meets that we've held and coming into Intercol, some of the categories are very wide open. The public will come for a GBSS or a SAS in the boys, or they may come for a St. David's, or maybe even a SAS or a McDonald College, Anglican High School Convent in the girls. But they would call names. But from where I sit, Colin, I can't call a name because we've seen a spread of athletes in all categories in all of our schools. And again, that comes down to the coaching, the clubs. If you go through Tantine, the stadium, or if you take a journey up to the north, in St. Patrick's or even St. Andrews and these places, St. David's, you're going to see on afternoons, Colin, a number of athletes out there almost every day, every single day, training. So to say the big gun is this athlete or this school or that school, I would say to you, there might be so much surprises in the call you wouldn't believe. But for those of us who've been following the sport, for example, I think it was in the junior category at National Champs. There was this athlete who ran from lane 2, and he qualified in the 200 meters, meeting the character standards, beating everybody else, and there were some favorites in that event. So I'm just saying this to say, I'm not going to call a school. Lots of people call schools, and you see it out there, but Colin, I would say, come out and you're going to see our athletes on show.
Let me ask
Great
you,
performance.
The reality is that some schools have been winning more than others in recent years. What has been their strategy to bring about these overall victories? And I hear you in terms of we can see strong performances by individual athletes across schools. But why have some schools won Intercol more than others? What is that strategy?
One of the things I could speak of right off my head is simply this. The support structure and the support team. These schools, they have it. I could tell you that. Some might say size matters. So when you look at a school as a GBSS who have almost 800 boys, and SAS, well, they're a co-ed school. But if you go into SAS, for example, there are a number of individuals, their coaches who work with those athletes. And they themselves, if you come to the meets that the Grenada Athletics Association they've put on, what you tend to see, you may not see them as SAS, but you may see them as another club. So these coaches are working with these athletes year-round. They have a structure in place. So when it comes to the SAS level now, for example, you see all these coaches coming together, they work together, and they work with their athletes. Same thing with the GBSS. we see that they have 3 or 4 coaches working with them. Whereas now the smaller schools, the smaller institutions, they may have less support, recoaching. They may have athletes who are in clubs. But when you look at the support structure within the schools, it may not be as vibrant as that of the others. So they have a number of people. So, for example, a smaller school on the day of Intercol, when they have one coach dealing with the throws and one dealing with the jumps and one dealing with the track, the smaller schools at 1 or 2 coaches, you have to deal with everything. So that in itself, the personnel surrounding the teams, that in itself led to it. And as I said, the club structure. So, for example, in St. George's, you're going to see the SCRC club. They have a number of these athletes from the same schools, a part of them. Altitude in St. Andrews, they have a number of the SAS athletes in those clubs. But we've seen the emergence in St. John's and McDonald College and all these others, St. David's again, Trailblazers. So again, the structure that they have and the number of people, I believe, who's working with those athletes, it makes a massive difference.
Are we also seeing active recruitment from the primary school level into some schools, whereas others are not necessarily aggressive in promoting their secondary school? I mean, that's the first part of my question. And then the second part, is there also some poaching going on, where you might see a strong athlete in one secondary school and you encourage them to transfer and come over? Is that happening?
Loads of poaching.
So, Colin, I'll answer this question this way. The Ministry of Education, with the exit assessment, the CPA exit assessment, students are placed in schools in 2 ways. One, on merit, basically, well, two broad categories. Merit, that is those students placing in the top 200. They get a choice, the school of their choice, so they choose to go to those schools. Secondly, you are zoned. So if you're of a school within, let's say, the Happy Hill area, and you come from the Happy Hill, the Uganda Matters Catholic School, more than likely you may go to the Happy Hill secondary, or maybe to Wesley College, or zone based on your residence, where you live. So that's 2. But there's also, Colin, a third category where students, for one reason or the other, are granted transfers. Okay, so they're granted transfers based on maybe if they didn't get it on merit, or let's assume they did not belong to one of the denominational schools where at least 30% of students in the denominational primary schools, they get the opportunity to enter into the denominational schools like the convent and the SAS and the Anglican High School and these schools. But there's also the room for transfer, and parents may transfer their son or daughter from one school to another for varying reasons. So this is how I'm going to choose to answer this question, Colin. All right?
I will accept that choice. I believe we heard you clearly, and it is time for a second break. So we'll go to break, and we'll come back and continue to discuss Intercol 2026. See you shortly.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
A trip to to Grenada from April 4th to the 6th, 2026. A decision you'll never regret. This isn't just any destination. It's where passion meets performance. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games, hosted at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium in St. George's, under the theme, Passion Drives Performance. The best of the Caribbean's junior athletes will compete in electrifying track and field competition. Organize now and be part of an experience like no other, where talent, passion, and perseverance come alive on the land of 100,000 jab. Feel the passion, celebrate the performance, and create memories that will last a lifetime in pure Grenada, the land of warmth, spirit, and unstoppable energy. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games.
Whenever happy to see me, nobody is strangers, one big family.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
I'd like to say a special thank you to GRENLEC for the continued support given to us throughout the years. Most recent, our renovation of our kitchen countertops and doors. By this, emphasis is placed on the preparation of delicious and healthy meal for the residents. We thank you.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
We're inviting all residents and the business community from Calavini, Westerhall, Hopevale, and all surrounding areas to join us for a town hall meeting at Westerhall Secondary School on Wednesday, the 18th of March. It begins at 6 p.m. We want to bring news to you about what's happening here at the site, what you can expect for the upcoming months, and we want to hear from the community as well about this very exciting project happening right here in your neighborhood. It will be blessed by the presence of our Honorable Prime Minister and the other ministers of our cabinet. We look forward to remarks from our Minister of Health as we focus on Project Polaris and the healthcare transformation for Grenada.
In Grenada, sports aren't just a game, they're a way of life. They teach discipline, teamwork, and resilience. They inspire the next generation to push boundaries and chase excellence. That's why the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada is proud to support sports initiatives as part of our commitment to youth and national development. When we invest in sports programs, we invest in the future. We invest in the health and well-being of our youth, and we invest in broadening Grenada's reach, proudly connecting our athletes, our talent, and our nation to a global community. Together, we all go further. The Investment Migration Agency. Unlock the possibilities.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. We're talking Intercol 2026, and you certainly can weigh in. 440-1252. That's the number that you can call in. Superintendent, I know that there's management of the games, and you outlined that. What is the strategy post-games to make sure that students and attendees gets out and home safely?
Right. So as soon as the games are wrapped up for the day, of course, the gates will be open, and we encourage persons not to stick around in the stadium longer than should be, especially adults. We want you to exit the stadium, take your belongings. If you have your private transportation, or if you're using public transportation, you get your buses and so on, you head home. But especially for our children, because we all know what happens traditionally. Children would leave the stadium and head into town to Lime around, and so we have a robust after games plan, I would call it. We would deploy a significant amount of officers in the town to usher our children onto be it public transportation or whatever, get out of the town. An area where we have been having a lot of issues is behind the mall, and so they will be going there, congregating for whatever reasons. So I want to say to them, don't try this year. The RGPF, we are very serious about that. We will not be tolerating the loitering after the games. So we'll be ushering you onto your buses, your transportation and so on. We're asking the parents to work with us. Ensure that your children come home and come home early. We all know what can happen, right? All it takes is one bad actor. And in recent time we saw two. We don't want a repeat of that in our country again.
Thank you very much.
So the RGPF will be doing our part in this regard.
Okay, I believe we have a caller online. Good evening, caller. Welcome. Good evening, caller. It seems that we lost that caller.
But I wanted to add to what he said. We have been doing the last few years, maybe more than the last few years, but we do encourage the outer parish buses to come straight into the stadium to pick up at the end of Intercol, so that they don't have to, students don't have to go even across to the bus terminal. And it's something we have in place for this area. Not even just our students, even our officials from day to day. So the buses are assigned and hired to come straight onto the car park to pick up directly after Intercol.
Okay. Is Intercol profitable, Madam Treasurer? We heard about excellent online sales. We heard about the finish line being sold out there, all-inclusive packages, etc. We have a caller online, but I'll certainly will get you the answer after that. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. We want to know what are the parking arrangements. Yes. We want to know what are the parking arrangements for Intercol on day 1, day 2, day 3.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Parking arrangements for the various days.
The parking arrangements remain the same from previous years. There are persons with priority parking. So, for example, VIP ticket holders have priority parking, and you're talking about your members of parliament, your ministry officials, those kinds of persons on your specially invited guest list. The officials also have priority parking in a different segment, and these are the persons who are working the games, some almost.
And that parking is where?
That park is designated closer to the warm-up side, on that side. You also have media workers who have a little bit of priority parking as well, because they have to go back and forth on what they have to do. People like caterers and vendors will have access passes to drop off closer to closer points, but they don't park, but they're able to drop off at closer points. I'm supposing the caller is speaking to the general public. Outside of that would be where the general public will sit.
So general public gets to park in the National Stadium car park. And where else?
We are looking into the Wesley College grounds. And so, but while we're on that, let me encourage the general public. 1, you can carpool. And 2, try to use public transportation, because the reality is the parking there is quite limited. So if 1,200 private vehicles show up on any given day, we have a problem. And so I would encourage persons. The parking there is quite limited. So carpool, it makes no sense 3 people from the same home leaving home with 3 different vehicles. Use one.
Okay. Yes. So Madam Treasurer, back to you. Is Intercol profitable?
Intercol has, within recent years, not many, 3, finally passed the break-even stage and is now turning a small profit. I think that was always the aim, for us to be able to pay our bills when we finish with Intercol. So we're happy that we're now in a position that we're consistently doing so now. But that is not without the level of sponsorship. So we're very thankful for the level of sponsorship that has increased over the last 3 years as well, allowing us to be able to pay our bills and pay our bills timely. So with that, in that regard, I want to thank the government of Grenada for their sponsorship, because they have been what we would consider a title sponsor for the last 2 years in particular, and their contributions have allowed us to get to that point. Outside of government of Grenada, there's a long list of sponsors, whether you're gold or bronze or silver or diamond, a long list of sponsors who are also very, very supportive of Intercol and what happens at Intercol. The larger point, however, is not so much how profitable we get, is what we do with that money. And every year the aim is to be able to give back. That's first and foremost bottom line. Give back to schools. Schools coming to Intercol is quite the cost. Whether you're a big school of let's say 70-something athletes, a team of 70-something, or you're a small school of 12 athletes, the cost involved in bringing athletes to Intercol starts long before Intercol, but even at Intercol, that cost can be prohibitive for some. And whether it is feeding the athletes all day and coaches, and remember, teachers and students are working at Intercol games, so it's a school day, and so all schools have responsibilities throughout the 3 days. So if you have teachers and students working, they have to be fed, they have to be transported, they have to be clothed in some cases. What Intercol is aiming to do outside of wanting to encourage sports performance and develop discipline through sports and have our athletes perform well is to be able to get them the support they need at the school level. So when the profits are made, as it grows, and we trust in God that it will continue to grow, we want to be able to pump back into schools. We've seen prize money, 10 seconds, prize money increase significantly over the years. Again, winning schools put out, so they must win a lot when they win. We've seen, let's take IMA. 2 years consistently has given back to transportation. The cost of transportation in getting, think about Mr. Andall and say 4 coasters coming down daily to bring down athletes, to bring down students and go back. The cost of the bus for his athletes to come down, or if they're camping, the cost of staying in accommodation and feeding them while they're camping. So we've seen IMA specifically give sponsorship for transportation to schools. And a lot of the sponsors are targeting things like that go right back to school, meal assistance to schools. By and large, what we're hoping to do in time to come now is to start buying, for example, sporting implements. So schools are, Mr. Mitchell spoke about it earlier and Mr. Andall spoke about it, more even playing field for all schools participating so that they get better performance from small, big school, it doesn't matter, more support, whether it's training for your coaching staff, and the other aspects of Intercol as well, training for your announcers, training for your commentators, training across the board for your officials. These are where the money is for Intercol. The idea is not to have the money sitting in a bank account anyway. The idea is to pump it right back into the development of sports.
Colin?
Yeah, I want to chime in on this because as the sister said, we have come a long way where Intercol is concerned. In my opinion, we're still not really making profit as yet. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You see, because the schools are the one responsible for creating this product. And I'm telling you, coming from a St. Patrick's school, the expenses is tremendous. As we speak, I have 116 supporters who will be coming to Intercol. That's non-athletes. We're talking about 8 to 9 buses. We're talking about right now the buses, they're not accepting anything less than $500. So we will charge the kids about $20, $25, and the schools still have to subsidize. And
116 supporters you're talking about, these are students?
Students, yes. Yeah, I'm talking about students coming to support. Now, as we speak, for the last 5-6 years or so, we started camping in St. George's. And I've come to realize that, hey, the camping is even more expensive than the bus. When you bring them down to the buses, you pay the bus and you provide them with lunch. Now they're in camp, 3 square meals. And we started camp today, we'll be finishing on Friday. So that's another expense. Also, uniforms. Have a team of at least 63 athletes, we need tracksuits, we need stuff for them. So even though the actual expense on the day, but you got to understand, none of the schools receive subsidies for uniform, equipment, etc., etc. So we have to use innovative ways at the school. So despite the fact that over the last few years, the IMA and other institutions increased our sponsorship, so we could give back. What we're giving back is still a drop in the bucket.
What is your feel? Because we see some of the larger schools or more renowned schools attracting private sponsors. Should this be the case, or should the pool of money really be going to, let's say, the Principals Association for distribution among the schools that have to participate in this?
Now, to me, I prefer to go directly to the schools. But yet still, as I'm telling you, it's still a drop in the bucket, because you have to understand, earlier on you spoke about the schools that do well. The program is very comprehensive. For the kids to do well, you cannot just feed them on the days of Intercol. Training would start June, July. So in that case, since then you have to feed them. You have to feed them, you have to clothe them. You start the general training. They cannot do it barefoot. So you have to get sneakers for them. And as we get closer to the competition, you still have to get spikes or running shoes for them. You understand? So when you look at a good athletic program and if you start counting your expense from, let's say, July to about May, it really, really, really takes a lot. And it's really important, I must say also, that over the last few years, more and more of the private sector is helping sponsor in school. A good example of that is Classic Light in Grenada, who, as we speak, is sponsoring more than 12 schools. So from tomorrow to Thursday, you'll be hearing Classic Lighting a lot. So most of the secondary schools.
So we say thank you to Mr. Bido.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, yes.
Okay. Johnell, we're talking about investment in our athletes, investment in our schools. Share with us, both as a director of the games and being a visionary, as well as your seat on the Athletics Association. What type of investment are we making to ensure that our athletes move from the Intercol games to Carifta to professional?
And this is rather critical, Colin, in the sense that we cannot sit back and say we have athletes who are dominating at a national level and keep it at that. And therefore, we as an association, we've seen how important it is to invest in athletes and more meets. That's one of the areas. So as I said before, and I spoke extensively on that, they being able to see where they are and to see and know exactly where we want to take them. Additionally, one of the mandates that we've set out as a board of directors, is that wherever we have meets within our region, within that, especially the NACAC region, and even at the world level, it is our aim to ensure that we have representation, that Grenada is represented at all of those meets. So be it Pan Am Games or whatever meets that NACAC puts on, we ensure that our athletes, they get the opportunity to represent the country out there. So the athletes and the coaches, knowing that, they work towards it. So that in itself is a motivation. Additionally, we see the need for the development of coaches. So from time to time, there are a number of programs that we would invest in where our coaches will come. And for example, one of the things, and Intercol, we're talking Intercol here tonight, maybe about a year or two ago, one of the things, there was a partnership with the Grenada Athletics Association and GAPS, where there was this hurdles course, that hurdles coaching for our coaches of the secondary school. And that's why today, Colin, you can see hurdles as a main feature throughout all of the categories at Intercol. So we continue to invest in our coaches, we continue to invest in development programs for our athletes, we continue to ensure that there are opportunities out there. Once there are opportunities out there, we have avenues to ensure that they can be out there representing our country proudly. Not ending at Carifta, but as I said, all the junior meets that are out there, we ensure as an association that we work with our coaches. And I tell you what, we have some coaches out there, they know, Colin. They are aware as to all of the meets and the standards that need to be met in order for these athletes to participate, and they would send in that information to us in a timely manner. So it's a partnership where we work together to ensure that athletes don't just stop at Intercol, or they just don't stop at Carifta, but there are opportunities out there for them, and we ensure as an association we pave the way to make sure that we get participation out there.
As an association, are we bringing in recruiters to Intercol and certainly ensuring recruiters are on the ground to see our athletes for Carifta? Are we training or promoting media coverage of our athletes so that their performances can go beyond the Grenada's shores? Are we preparing our athletes in being able to engage with the media so that when asked a question, they're able to respond appropriately, they're able to sell themselves beyond their ability on the track or in the field events? Because as you know, when sponsorship is to come in, then that sponsor needs to be able to associate with someone that can sell the brand, the Nike, the Puma, etc. We have Kirani James, who's a wonderful spokesperson for his sponsors. So do we have that type of developmental training? Are we bringing in recruiters, and are we having our local media and regional media focusing on our athletes in order to build their profile?
Okay. I would say yes to all of these questions. And first of all, let me start with media coverage. Every one of the meets that we put on by GAA, it has gained some levels of media coverage. And we've partnered also with TNR Communications to ensure that our games are viewed worldwide. And if you actually have a chat with Richie and his team, they will tell you the number of viewers on a particular day who are tuned in to our games. So our games, our developmental meets, I could tell you that much, from the GAA into our relay meets into the national champs, it's out there. For this Intercol games, it's a huge thing. It's a huge investment. I know Richie and his team, they've invested in resources to ensure that we have ample coverage of both track.
Allow me to cut you. I'm asking whether or not we are ensuring that that coverage gets to the right people. And we will look at the games, so we understand there's coverage, it's online.
And yes, that's exactly where I'm going, Colin. That's exactly where I'm going. So I'm just trying to lay the foundation to show the level of coverage that we have with those games. Now, before I tell you about where we're going, what I know we've done as an association, we've put on a number of character camps, for example. And in those camps, we have different personnel coming in to speak to our athletes, to engage them, for example, as the area that you've just spoken to. How do you answer questions? How do you deal with the media when certain questions are asked of you? Your demeanor, your responses, and all of that. We deal with etiquette, culture shock, a number of things through those camps. Or at least, we give them those opportunities, but can we do more? Yes, we can do more. Now, talking about outside coverage, Colin, let me give you an experience. Last year when I was in Trinidad with the character team, as a manager of the team, a number of recruiters approached me, and they started asking for a number of athletes. They could have only asked about those athletes because of the level of coverage that we've been given to our games, to the Intercol games, to the national champs, to the meets that we have. That in itself has promoted itself in such that people are viewing it out there. And tell you what, even come this character, they'll be coming and asking for our athletes again. A matter of fact, as soon as we got down to Trinidad last year, Colin, a number of our athletes, the media houses, the ESPN and all of the others, and Sportsmax rather, who were covering, they were targeting these athletes for interviews and all of that. So tell you what, they are hearing of our athletes, and in order for them to hear of our athletes is because of what we are doing here in the local basis.
And my other thing would be one of scholarships, to bring them to the next level, competing wherever. But because not everyone can win an Olympic gold, but quite a number can have meaningful professional lives. What are we doing in terms of sports scholarships?
Now, what I would say to you is this. A lot of the clubs, they have partnered with a number of universities, because from time to time you've heard quite a few of our athletes going out there to universities. And as you rightly said, they may not become Olympians, but scholarships are a way out, and to ensure that they make something meaningful of themselves. So what we as an association do, we support the clubs as much as we can, but one of the things we've always said to the clubs, once athletes are going out there, once you've engaged institutions and they are going out there, we need to be in the know. You see, if we're not in the know, if we're not informed, we cannot give it a level of support that we need to give to you. Additionally, not only that, I know a number of our athletes who are out there through the Olympic Association, they are supporting them in one way or the other. So basically, as an association, once we are aware that clubs are working along with those universities, we support them in means and areas that we can to ensure we can help facilitate certain processes that are needed to get them out there. Because as a club, we may not have what it takes, but as an association, we may be able to give you that note, that letter, this or what is needed to ensure that it helps you in getting where you need to go. Again, Can we do more as an association? I would say yes. There are a number of things that we need to critically look at, some insights we need to take into how we work more with our clubs to put more structures in place so that our clubs know what to do, how to do. So we need to build a club structure. We need to invest in our clubs a bit more. Yes, I believe there are things that we can do, but we work closely with our clubs, especially those who seek to get their athletes out there.
All right, thank you. We've quickly come to an end. So I'm going to give you each 1 minute to wrap up. I will start with you, Superintendent, in terms of your closing comments.
All right, again, well, just to see...
and by the way, you can also give a prediction.
Okay. Just to say that, reiterate what I said earlier, the RGPF, our mandate is to ensure that the games are executed in a manner that is safe for all concerned. And rest assured that we will be deploying all of our resources available to us to ensure that that is done. Also, a word of caution to would-be troublemakers. Over the next 3 days of Intercol is not the time to try to test the RGPF in this regard. We will be prepared to ensure that the games are executed and executed in a safe environment.
Excellent. Samantha?
First of all, we want to thank you for the opportunity to come again. We want to thank you, our viewing public, for continuing to support Intercol. Remember, every dollar you spend towards Intercol goes back to the athletes and in the schools and the service providers for the event. Be mindful if you purchase e-tickets to ensure that you have it clearly visible so you can be scanned at entry. Finish line ticket holders, you'll be banded this year, so the process is a lot smoother for you. And in general, because we've sold many tickets prior to the day, expect very short lines. Come and enjoy in a safe environment.
Colin?
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about Intercol. I must say, based on what we have been seeing throughout the torch run, this one would be epic. Regarding predictions, because of my position, I'm not able to make predictions on air, but may the best team win.
But can I say what you told me earlier? Johnell?
One thing we didn't touch on, Colin, and we spoke about the timely start and finish of the games, but the public has a huge part to play in this. There's a discipline that is needed or required when it comes to the games. From the time public, and this is an appeal I am making, the starter is about to begin a race, we want it to be quiet. If you continue making noise, each time you make noise and each time you have to keep you quiet, you push us back 5 minutes and 5 minutes into a delayed, into a later finish. So we are appealing to the public to work with us to ensure that we have a successful games. Who's going to win? I'm going to make a bold prediction. Intercol is going to win.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming based on all of the diplomatic answers you were getting before. So, Johnell, thank you so very much. Samantha, Antoine-Purcell, of course, Superintendent Bascombe, and Carl Andall. It's a pleasure having you all on this evening's program. You too, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this evening's program. We encourage you to support Intercol 2026. Support our schools, support our athletes, support Grenada, because in a mere 2+ weeks, it will be Grenada at Carifta in the very same national stadium. So let's be mindful of doing that. Grenada wins over the next 3 days. Take good care, and I look forward to being with you again in the next 6 days, 22.5 hours. Godspeed.